Hi there, I'm Chris.
Tasmin,
Welcome to Wheelie's World.
come with this and go to Eagle.
This is the lovely Raymond from Braunston Marina. We are here at the Canal Boat Festival on Saturday, 26th July. Nora was built in 1930 by a boat building company called Yarwoods Northwich.
I can't follow this one this time.
Well, you'd be doing well to fall in, I'd
I can't fall off. Especially this way. Raymond. Alright. That's Raymond's. Yeah. Is that Raymond?
Yes, it is,
Yes. Brilliant. Awesome. Great.
We've been taking a chance to get a few things finished. One of them is the crutch. So I'm just waiting for that paintwork that I've done to go off a little bit more, and then I can sand it back and get the final coat on. And the plan is to put all the frame back on. So we have been able to do some repairs on the crutch boards now, so I've sanded them all back, varnished, and they're almost ready to go back on. And this is the cross piece, and it fits into there, so that's all sanded and varnished as well. And this is the A-frame at the front, so the cross piece sits in that end as well. That's the outside of the A-frame. You've got all these little divots where the crutch canopy fits into. Ready to put it on. I've got to put a bead of sealant, probably Sikaflex, down that side. Right, I've given this part of the roof of the boat a good sanding, priming, and a couple of layers of white before I put the boards back on. See, I don't want it to stick too much, so I've got to leave it for a fair few days. One of the things I had to do was to put a new wire in, make sure that it doesn't fray again, so hence a little bit of fluff around it to stop it from chafing again. Given everything on the front, several layers, It's dry, but it's still a bit tacky, so I'm just leaving it open there for a bit. And the plan is to put the frame back on with a bit of Sikaflex underneath it, and I can put the front light back on as well. It's one of the things I had to do. At least we've had some good rain over the past couple of weeks, and then we're all afloat again. What we're doing, Taz?
Driving this train.
The narrow gauge railway has got a footplate experience. Looking forward to it? Why not? You'll be right. You can do it.
Touching properly, yeah?
You can do it. You can do it. That's the ticket office. This is the model Pixie to run on a 5-inch gauge track. Working model. It's pretty cool. Let's get a close up of the bits. It's taken 10 years to make this, apparently. Fiddly bits, look. Awesome. Cute little station. This building here is the ticket office and reception. So this is the 10:30 departure. Ready to go. What do you think, Taz?
I don't know.
It's going to be smoky.
Smoky. Wow.
Should have brought the gas mask.
Yes.
About another 25 minutes.
Interesting.
So actually on the footplate it's about an hour, give or take. That's it. So this is where we keep all the stock at night. I'll start up the far end so we will walk down. But yeah, so the carriage is coming on this road and the engines are on the middle road. The numbers are a bit lower today, so we've dropped one of our carriages off. Right, there we go. Dumps. For the simple reason that having an engine with fire and flames going out an ammunition dump was seen as a bad thing. So, although it is actually nicknamed Sparky, but which is probably not a good thing for an ammunition dump. But yes, so that's charged up, and literally that whole lot is full of big batteries, not like modern car batteries, but quite old. Never remember the other one. It's either Winifred or Millicent was the third one, but it was named after the guy who owned the factory who ordered them up in Staffordshire. Had two daughters, Gertrude and Millicent or Winifred, whichever it was. And then when he got the third loco, he asked the girls what they wanted to call it, and they named it after their favourite toy, which is why you're being doll today, yes. So, but basically that's very similar to the engine you'll be doing. Doll's just about a year older than the other two. But Gertrude and Doll are our sort of mainstay of our steam services at the moment. Very, very similar to me. But the engine crews say no, they're all totally different, and each got their own individual characters, etc., etc. But so it's 2 pistons, 060s, isn't it? Yeah, it's 060s. The other coaching set is our B set. We use this when we have got 2 train service. It's not quite as nice as the set that's out today.
Open carriage.
But that one's open. The others are slightly less open, but still not completely glassed in. When World War I started, the British were of the opinion we'd all be home by Christmas, and they relied on horses, the traditional way, whereas the Germans, the French, the Belgians all felt that they needed to run railway lines. Well, by the time the British realised that we needed railways in the trenches, because it was going to be there for some time, all our factories were too busy making munitions. So we ordered about 500 locos from America. They built these 500 in the space of 12 months. So this is one of only about 3 remaining in the world. We think it's the only operating one in this country.
Really?
There's certainly one other in the, which is, I can't remember where that one is now. This is where the experts on the shed show can talk to you for hours. And then one is in, I think it's Andorra or somewhere like that it ended up. But this one, yes, saw service in the war. So they didn't go right to the very front, because steam locos tend to give away their position to the enemy with clouds of smoke. So they used to go to the front depots, and then they used diesel locos to call it the very last part, which we've got a couple of those up at the other end of the line, although they're all undercover. Here, I mean, all of these engines have been rebuilt here. We do a lot of the work ourselves.
Does this still get used in services?
So yes, this is our 3rd loco. Yeah, it's a bit big. The difference is that this one is owned by a trust. So whenever we use it, we have to pay to use it to the trust. It's sort of a mileage rate. So we tend to use the smaller ones. This one uses a lot of coal and so on. It's a bit more thirsty and heavy. But after here, right now, this one's a little interesting story. So this loco was actually used to work down in the fields down in standing general meetings down there. Because when he'd finished the meeting, he could go and play trains. This is, yeah.
Big tracer.
Yeah, big wheel train. When he retired, they said, "What would you like as a present?" And he said, "I'll have one of your engines," and they gave it to him. So he brought it back to this country, and that's At the moment, it's not in use. It's got a cracked firebox, but we are trying to raise the money to get that back in. Although because it's a very small engine, it's not a high priority. We couldn't use that on our main passenger services. We'd have to go and run that with a couple of coaches. So, but we will one day get that going again. But brought a torch with me knowing I was coming up here, shouldn't I? But let's use this one. So the actual fire is all in there, and you'll see there's lots and lots of tubes.
Yeah, okay.
So those tubes carry all the hot air through the boiler, and they're surrounded with water, and that's actually a really efficient way of getting steam out. Yeah. So I'll show you the other end in a second. Fireman stands this side, taking all the coal. I mean, it's not much coal in this, but this would have coal in it normally. We use it to store lumps of metal. And yes, he'll be shoveling in here, and the fireman's other job is to keep the boiler full of water. So that's what these gauges are for. These tell the fireman how full the boiler is. It's quite hard with a boiler, because if you just opened a tap from the tank, the steam under pressure would come out the boiler instead of the water going in. So you actually have to force the water in, and that's what a lot of this gear is called, an injector, forces water into the boiler under high pressure. That's one of the tricks of the fireman. But the main controls are the 3 controls are in front of you.
Handbrake?
No, that's your handbrake there actually. This is equivalent to the gear lever, this big black one. So that is called the reverser. And its main purpose, yes, is to go forwards or backwards. So in neutral, you go forwards or backwards. Well, it might be backwards. I don't know which way around it is. But its other purpose is also, when it's fully open, what happens is the steam comes into the piston and will be going throughout the travel of the piston. So the steam pressure from the boiler is used. But when you get really fast, you actually have the steam cut off a bit earlier. And so you rely on the steam expanding to do the work. So it's an efficient way of using the steam. That's called cut-off. So I think in full position, it's something like 75% of the travel has steam. And then when you get much faster, you go down to about 20-25%. So if you listen to a steam train, when it moves off, you'll hear it go shh, shh, excuse the sound effects, but it's quite a long pulse of power. When it's going fast, you'll hear it go and that's because the steam's only entering the piston for a little bit. Yeah. So that's either called your cut-off or your reverser, depending on what the driver wants to call it. Your main regulator is actually the black lever that's sort of pointed. That's right. So that's the actual tap that opens steam. And then your final main control is the little red handle just there. That's the brakes. So that tiny little lever operates the brakes on the whole train.
My God.
We have two brake pipes on the trains. One is the emergency, and one is the control. So the emergency one goes under pressure to take the brakes off, and then therefore if a hole develops or the coupling came undone, all the air would rush out and the brakes would come on. So it's what we call fail safe. The problem with that is it's not very controllable. So the control one, we put air in to put the brakes on, and that one, so that's at £0 when we're going along, and they just let a little bit of air in to power the brakes, and you'll see them doing that. Yeah, so those are the main controls really. You'll see obviously the whistle is up there. That's probably the main things, isn't it? I mean, I can't remember where Dole's is, but the other little control is this one's called the cylinder cocks. When you first move off, we actually have the holes at the bottom of the pistons so that any water that's collected can drip out. And then once you go in a tiny way along, they close it. So you'll see them, I think it might be a little lever down on the floor, you'll see the fireman pull. But that's it. Right, if you step out main tap, so when the boiler, so all this is, so it's got all those pipes in it.
Okay.
So as that gets hot, the steam rises to the top. Every steam engine will have a dome. So that's where the steam collects, and then you open the tap and the steam pressure comes down here, down to that piston, and there's a pipe that goes across to that piston. And the valves are actually in this half. So as the main piston goes in and out, the clever mechanics that is way beyond me works the valves that lets the steam in either that side of the piston or that side. And when we move that reverser, you'll see that valve gear actually, so this gear down there, you'll actually see it changing. That's changing how the valves and pistons move in relation to each other. I'm not a mechanical engineer, but that's apparently very clever mechanics how it does that.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and that's building up the air pressure for the brakes. So you'll see that, and then they have a cylinder underneath that monitors that holds all the pressure. What else can I tell you? Safety valves on top of the dome. There's two of those in case one doesn't work properly. Oh yes, I'll show you this end. I'll come. This is the smoke box. So that's the other end. I'll get the torch on again. I shouldn't have turned it off, should I? Come on, where is it? There we go. So you see that's the other end of the pipes?
Yep.
So all the hot air comes through those and up the chimney. And then similarly, these two pipes, that's the waste steam.
Okay.
So as the steam comes from the piston, that also goes up the chimney, and it creates a sort of a wind effect that draws the air through. Yeah. You see this tends to get a little bit dirty with ash and so on, so that's all gets cleaned out at the end of the day.
So it's character.
Yeah. What they call in ballast. So they would have lots of sand in them because we were a manufacturing country. So our factories used to send goods to Europe, and how times change. So ships would arrive with lots of sand, and they would dump it on the beaches at the ports. So sand was actually quite cheap. So they hadn't really developed the quarries around Leighton before the war. The only ones were to the south of the town by the canal. So the canals could take it down. But when the war happened, all this ship traffic stopped, funny enough, and suddenly there was a huge need for lots and lots of sand because we were making lots of castings and so on for Michelle's and tanks. You'll see some of the buildings if you look over the trees, but right by the two big wind turbines. And the sand was quarried up there and then taken by road, so big steam traction engines and stuff, down to a railhead. So just the other side of the road here, where there's all those industrial buildings, used to be some sidings. There was a railway line that went from Leighton over to Luton. Yeah. Right, I'll leave you mark. Okay.
so it stopped in the station.
No, not that.
I'll go and let them think.
That's a lot of smoke in it.
Was or bees nest in one of the go down to the ticket office.
No.
You need to go down there. Show that.
Nice.
I'll be you in an hour. So if you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and keep watching. Keep like and subscribe.